Hello, my friend. Stay a while and listen.
What's going on, guys? It's Filthy and I'm back with another video. Today we're looking at the brand new Crusader set, which is the Aegis of Valour. It's a really nice set to play. The visuals are stunning. The lightning that flies around the screen looks really good. Really do feel very powerful when you're playing the set. The set transmog looks pretty cool as well. Now I would like the set to be changed. We'll get into that probably at the end of the video. But we're doing GR75s at the moment. This is with the seasonal character, so I think the gems were 75, 55 and 25 or something like that. I also have a non-ancient weapon, non-ancient offhand and non-ancient belt, trousers or amulet. So the gear wise, plenty of stuff to improve. But as you can see from the footage on screen, GR75 is no problem. We're doing it in about 2 minutes 30, 2 minutes 45. As I say, with a bit more juice, we could be doing it a little bit quicker. Now before we jump in and look at all the gear and skills, I just want to welcome everyone who's new to the channel. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already done so. And as always guys, a thumbs up is greatly appreciated. So looking at the gear, we're going to be taking obviously the brand new set, the Aegis of Valour. We're going to be taking 5 pieces and we're going to be using the Rogue in the cube to make up the 6-piece bonus. Now we've also got some other sets, so we're going to be taking the Captain Crimsons. We're going to have to take the belt, but you can take either trousers or boots, just depends on your drops. We're also going to be taking the Norvald set, so the Flail of the Charge and the Shield of the Steed. We'll get into explaining all of that in a minute. Let's start with the new set. So the Aegis of Valour, it's quite straightforward. It buffs Fist of Heavens and that's pretty much all that it does. So the 2-piece Fist of Heavens, when we use it, it kind of has these lightning bolts that travel along the ground. When they hit something, there's a chance that they'll cast another Fist of Heavens. Not exactly sure on the proc rate, but it does look like we get quite a lot. There's lightning all over the screen, as you'll see from the footage. The 4-piece is damage reduction. When we hit with Fist of Heavens, we get 1% damage reduction for 5 seconds. Stacks 50 times, so it's a max 50% damage reduction. Now, this is far too short a duration because if you get lost, you take the wrong path on a labyrinth map, or let's say the Rift Guardian spawns miles away, this will drop off and it's a complete pain. So this needs to go up to 10 seconds. And then the 6-piece, nice and straightforward, Fist of Heavens gets a 10,000% increase, so lovely jubbly. Now also buffed for this new patch is the Dark Light. Fist of Heavens now casts twice and deals extra damage up to 250%. So we're going to put this in the cube to get the maximum multiplier. That means that whenever we do cast a Fist of Heavens, we get 2 for the price of 1. Also in the cube, we've got the Cassette's Cord of Righteousness. This will give us a 40% wrath reduction on the skill, which is really nice because it is quite thirsty. And we also get another damage multiplier, again up to 170%. Has to go in the cube if we want to wear the Captain's set, so no way around that. Now other multipliers, we've also got Squirts. Now this will give us up to double damage provided we haven't taken any damage. That's the upside. The downside is when we do take damage, we take 50% more. So it's a kind of risk and reward item. Now this does drop off. You can play this build at range and there will be parts of the map where it will be up fully and you'll be able to blast monsters and they'll fly apart like paper, and then other times it'll drop off and you have to work your way back up. But the way I figure it is over the course of the Rift, I reckon this is probably worth at least 40% extra damage. You get a good Rift, it could be worth more. Bad Rift may be worth a little bit less, but overall I think damage wise it's probably worth taking instead of say a Flavour of Time. But by all means you can swap that out if you want. And the advantage of swapping it out would mean that you are more tanky because you're not taking the extra damage. We're also going to take the Convention of Elements, so this is nice spike damage, so when this does roll around onto lightning we deal huge damage, which is really nice. There's nothing really you need to do for timing, it's just up when it's up and it's not when it's not. So now for the weird one guys, the Flail of the Charge. When we use this set we get a double damage modifier for 5 seconds after using Steed Charge. So the idea is that we want to Steed Charge, jump off the pony, Fist of Heavens, within 5 seconds jump back on the pony again, jump straight back off it, Fist of Heavens. Now you can use the pony to get around, you don't have to jump off straight away, but obviously if there's enemies around you may as well blam them. But also importantly for this set we get a 2% increase on the duration of Steed Charge, so if you get a bad map that's really handy, you can speed along through it really well. And also killing an enemy reduces the cooldown of Steed Charge by 1 second, because you can blast enemies apart really quickly. It means that Steed Charge comes back pretty much instantaneously. Now speaking of cooldown and the instantaneous Steed Charge, we're taking an Obsidian Ring of the Zodiac. This will give us a reduction in one of our skills 1 second whenever we hit with a spender. Fist of Heavens is a spender, so this will be going off quite a lot, and it gives us really good uptime on all of our abilities, and again helps with just instant steed charge, which is therefore a double modifier throughout the whole rift. And whilst we're here guys, we may as well talk about the Zai's Stone of Vengeance. This is just providing damage at range, so if you do get a really nice map, perhaps battlefields, and you can just Fist of Heavens at range, you're going to be dealing a lot more damage, which is nice. We're going to pair that with the Bane of the Trapped, just in case something does get up close and personal. Obviously you've got maps like the Keep Depths, where everything is very close range, so this will just basically deal more damage for enemies that are close. So either which way you slice it, close or far away, we're just going for extra damage. And then finally we've got a Bane of the Powerful, so again flat damage increase once we kill an elite or champion pack, and then 15% extra damage against elites and 15% damage reduction. Now we also actually get a modifier of Captain Crimson's set as well, so the 2-piece gives us life regen, don't really need to worry about that too much. We get a whopping 20% cooldown reduction and a 20% resource cost reduction, both of which are very handy for this build. And then the 3-piece also is really nice because we get extra damage depending on our cooldown, so more cooldown is more damage, and we also get more damage reduction for our resource cost reduction, so more RCR is more mitigation. Both of those things are really great for this build. And that just leaves the Nemesis braces, fairly self-explanatory, it's a speed build, so we want to get elites and champ packs off shrines and pylons. Now looking at the skills, Fist of Heavens, we've gone for Fissure. All the runes are fairly good for this. What this basically does is you plonk a couple down and they kind of like lightning teleport between each other and create damage. And obviously because we're getting 2 of them anyway whenever we cast it, it kind of automatically has the Fissure applied. So this is really nice. Everybody on the board seems to be using this rune, so we're just going for it because it seems to do the most damage. Provoke, Too Scared to Run. This is essentially a Wrath potion, so if you do run low on juice you can just pop this and you get Wrath. It's also a nice debuff on the enemies, so it reduces their attack speed and also their movement speed. Akarat's Champion, Prophet. Whilst this is up we get 35% extra damage and more Wrath regen, which is really nice. We also get a huge 150% armor and an extra cheat death, which is really nice. So the goal really is to try and keep this up as much as possible, which we'll do by hitting the Zodiac. Laws of Valour, Unstoppable Force. The passive basically gives us more attack speed. We're going to have this pretty much activated the whole way, and that's going to be even more attack speed, but importantly it's a 50% Wrath cost reduction. Now this does factor in with the Crimson, so it's a huge damage reduction as well because we're getting an extra 50% RCR, and also it allows us to spam Fist of Heavens pretty much as we want. Iron Skin, Steel Skin, this again is just another 50% damage reduction. We've increased the duration to 7 seconds because we want as few Zodiac procs going into this as possible, and that will allow for more uptime on Akarat's Champion and Laws of Valour. And then we're also going to be taking Steed Charge, and we're just going to go for Endurance just for the extra duration for rule out bad maps. But what you could do is put on Draw and Quarter, and this would drag mobs and enemies with you, which if you think about it would synergize reasonably well because you could drag the enemies along, jump off, double damage, Fist of Heavens. But I do put Endurance in just simply because every so often you get a rubbish map. Passive wise, we've gone for Heavenly Strength. We're using a 2-hander, so we have to take this. We get a 20% damage reduction, but the 2-hander does hit pretty hard, so it is quite nice. Indestructible, Cheat Death. Obviously we've got the one from Akarat's Champion, but this build is a little bit squishy at times, particularly with the squirt, so it is nice to have the 2 Cheat Deaths. Long Arm of the Law, we're going to increase our Laws of Valour up to 10 seconds, that's going to help us with perma uptime on it. And then Finery is extra strength, so that's just extra damage and extra toughness. I'd say in terms of passive wise, you have to take Heavenly Strength and you also have to take Long Arm of the Law. The other 2 you can switch out if you want, but those 2 are absolutely essential. Now in terms of playstyle, in the footage I'd actually numlocked both Laws of Valour and Akarat's Champion just to make sure that they were being activated as soon as they were ready. You don't have to do that, you could just keep an eye on them yourself, but obviously it is a fair bit of button spamming because you're going to be wanting to spam Iron Skin as well. I didn't bother numlocking this one because I just thought, well, I'll do that one myself, but by all means you can do. And then obviously Provoke, that's just a click, and then Fist of Heavens is your damage dealer on right click. So realistically the playstyle's quite straightforward. You kind of want to be at range because of your Zais and you want to be hitting with Fist of Heavens, but realistically, as you'll see from the footage, there's plenty of times where deep and dirty with the enemy and blasting them to pieces. So it is fun, it is pretty good. Now, potential swap for this, and the way I've seen other people run it, is by putting focus and restraint on, so that will give you another over double damage modifier, so you can take off the convention and also the zodiac for that. Now, I personally find that we've got enough damage to do 75 as it is, and I like the zodiac because it does just give us incredible uptime on all of our abilities, but you know, you certainly can do. You also can take the Dark Light and pair it with a different shield and free up your weapon slot, but you will miss out on the double damage from the flail of the charge, so it is pretty nice. Stat priority is cooldown. I've got about 50%, but I don't have it, I don't think, on shoulders, and I don't have it on my shield, so I could easily have more. Obviously more cooldown is more damage generally, so I think if you could push this figure closer to 55, that'd be handy, but 50% seems to work quite well. As for gems, we've gone cooldown in the helm, we've got rubies in the chest and pants, just for the extra damage really. Now I will do a D3 planner link once that goes live, and fingers crossed maybe this set will get a couple of tweaks, so I don't really want to make the guide if we're going to maybe redo it, but if they do make any material changes, don't worry, there'll either be a second round of PTR or I will test this when we get to live and bring an updated video. When it comes to T16, the only swap I would make is a Zai's out and a Boon of the Hoarder in. Obviously we've got the toughness to survive on 75 anyway, so we can't really work the gold wrap in because we can't afford to free up the armor slot. We also don't want to take off the crimsons because they are giving us cooldown damage and damage reduction. So what I would do is just simply plop the Boon of the Hoarder in, collect the gold, and you're just going to have to manage your own toughness. But you will need a Boon of the Hoarder in for T16 because you just need the gold to empower your rifts. As for feedback on the set generally, you know, it is a fun set to play. Fist of Heavens is a really cool skill. I do love the fact that we get lightning absolutely everywhere. I do think it could do with packing a bit more of a punch, so I'd like to see either the 6-piece bonus increased or potentially one of these multipliers increased, so maybe up to 500% on the Fist of Heavens, you know, maybe 300% on the belt, one of those two swaps just to double the multiplier either way, and then we'd have enough damage to do GR80 without much problem. Now toughness is a bit of an issue, so I'd like the duration to be increased at least probably to 10 seconds just to allow a little bit more leeway on the Rift Guardian. Generally speaking, toughness is a slight problem, but at least if you did up the numerical values on the weapons or the belt, then what you could do is you could take Unity instead of Convention, and that would give you an extra layer of mitigation, which would be pretty nice. And obviously I could run diamonds here, and that would give me a bit more toughness as well. So it's nearly there, particularly as we've got the squirts and we're taking extra damage as well, but I don't know. But yeah, all in all, a really good addition to the game. It is fun. It's probably at the moment capped at about 75s. You know, I could do them quicker. You can maybe get it up maybe to 80s, maybe 82, 83 as like a complete speed farm if you augmented it up, but realistically I'm not sure people would bother, just simply for the fact that the Econ Condemned Crusader is much quicker and probably packs more punch. And if you look at the leaderboards on PTR, it's a lot of Condemn, and also Legacy Dreams just seems to leave this for dust, so Blessed Shield seems to put it to bed really. So I do hope that it does get tweaked. A push build with it would be nice, but realistically I don't think it has the damage or the damage mitigation really to be going particularly high. So yeah, I would like to have it a little bit of a tweak. But that's it guys, that's the video. I hope you've enjoyed the build. If you have, leave me a thumbs up and I will catch you in the next video. Peace.